and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. I'm Priscilla. I'm the owner of A Life Full of Simplicity. Today's video will be a book review. I'm going to be reviewing this book, The Queen of Wands, the story of Pamela Colman Smith and the artist behind the Rider-Waite Tarot deck. This is by Cat Willett. And I'm super excited. So I received this from Running Press for review. Thank you again to them for sending this my way. I am an ambassador for Running Press. I'm part of their RP Mystic Coven, which is their ambassador program. So I do receive books and decks from them for review each month. And I received this one, and I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't realize that this was going to be a graphic novel. So when I opened it during my haul video, yeah, it was a graphic novel, and I was like, ooh, okay, I love that. So in the back here, it says, discover the life, work, and the magic of Pamela Colman Smith, the visionary artist behind the Rider-Waite Tarot deck. Seasoned readers and fledgling diviners alike turn to the Rider-Waite Tarot deck in search of inspiration, understanding, and even a hint at the future. At the story of the cards, art is less well known, with their brilliant creators' names stripped away from the project for decades. Now, for the first time, mystics, art lovers, and fortune tellers will uncover the magical story of Pamela Colman Smith, the creative force behind this singular tool of divination. Beautifully illustrated by artist Cat Willett and inspired by the work of Pamela herself, the Queen of Wands celebrates the profound legacy of this mystical force and serves as an enchanted spark for witches, creatives, and activists. This retails for $22 in the US, $28 in Canada. It is published by Running Press. And I absolutely love this. So I did rate it 5 stars. It was a quick read. Definitely enjoyed it. I learned a lot about Pamela. I didn't know much about Pamela Colman Smith. I do call the Rider-Waite Smith, I call it the Rider-Waite Smith or Smith-Waite. And I've always called it that ever since I learned tarot. I rarely ever call it the Rider-Waite Tarot. So yes, the table of contents here, there is a table of contents, which I've never seen in a graphic novel before, which is really interesting. So we have the early years, which is 1878 to 1896. We have Jamaica, 1896 to 1898. London, 1899 to 1909. Rider-Waite Tarot deck from 1909 to 1910. Advocacy from 1910 to 1914, later life from 1914 to 1951, and beyond, author's note and acknowledgements. I do want to read the author's note because it has some good information, so I wanted to start with that. So the author's note here at the back states, I have made my best effort to ensure that all the biographical information in this book is as accurate as possible. Unfortunately, though, Pamela Colman Smith was so underappreciated and unrecognized in her time, many exact dates or details from her life are unclear and unknown. In those instances, I've done my best to synthesize what is known about her into the likeliest version of events and do her story justice. It is my hope that by elevating Pamela's story and sharing it with more people, we can all begin to more fully understand this remarkable woman and the contributions she made to tarot. And I truly believe that. Honestly, truly believe that. Artwork, absolutely beautiful. Cat Willett did a fantastic job on this particular book. I think it is absolutely beautiful. Look how stunning that is. Absolutely stunning. Beautiful. She starts by talking about herself in the beginning, the author. She talks about herself and how she learned about tarot and Pamela Colman Smith, which was really interesting. I always like when authors do that, because then you get closer to the author and you learn more about them as well in the process, which was really interesting. So the early years pretty much talks about her birth, where she was born. She was biracial. Which was, during the time, she was seen, as someone who was exotic, right? Not someone who was seen very often in this population, especially since she grew up in England. And I believe her father was American, or maybe he was English. Pretty sure he was white though. From Brooklyn. So he was American, and her mother was Jamaican. So that was interesting to know. There was a big emphasis in this book on women's rights and equality, and women not only having the right to vote, but just having rights in general, because women didn't have rights back then. And I found that with what's going on today, especially in Iran and in the US, this was like a perfect read for me. The fact that there was a lot of activism. Pamela was very active in activism and women's rights. The fact that she was biracial, potentially part of the LGBTQ plus community. It was perfect that she was involved and very actively involved in activism. I thought that was fantastic. She really wanted to be involved in that, and from a very young age too. Like, she spent her early years exposed to the fight for women's rights and whatnot in England. So that's fantastic. I also thought it was really cool that she knew Bram Stoker, who is the author of Dracula. She knew Bram Stoker. She knew Henry Irving. I was like, wow, this girl knew a lot of people. Very cool. Very cool. Throughout the book, the author puts some of Pamela's quotes. There's a few that I really enjoyed. One being on page 54. One being on page 53, and then I really enjoyed 54, which seemed to be a letter that she was writing. I'm not sure if this is like a real letter or what this is, but it says here, people go, most of them, to the play to be amused, and in spite of themselves are often tricked into a mode of thinking quite contrary to their usual habit of thought. That is why the theater is the place where all beauty of thought, of sound, of color, of high teaching comes to be of use. All arts are branches of one tree. And I really like that, because it's really true. All art is definitely like, they're all on one tree, in my opinion. And this was this quote comes after when they were talking about her creativity and being in theater and doing puppet shows and things like that. She was very creative. She did a lot of art. She went to school for art, though she wasn't able to finish her degree because of her mother dying. So yeah, and she tried her best throughout her entire life to try to make it as an artist and to be able to pay her wage and pay her way through her art and whatnot. And she struggled a lot, but there was some comments in here about some of the men that she worked with. Oh my God. The men that she was friends with, that she knew, the audacity of these people, the ego. Like there's this one guy, what was his name? Jack Yeats. Okay, Jack Yeats. She did some illustrations for like a periodical that they created together, and he had the audacity to say that she was lazy, that her being a woman can't be taken, very high hand with things, that there's often a lot of fuss about the numbers, and that, he wanted to be in control of everything. So, yeah, I was just shocked that your own friend this is in early 1900, 1902, your own friend would disrespect you like that because you're a woman. And I was just like, wow, okay. Even, for the tarot deck, even Waite himself was not a very nice person either. He didn't pay her much, wouldn't give her royalties. So she barely made any money off of that entire deck that has been selling for literal decades, centuries. I don't even know. I do like the fact that the author brought in information about the secret guilds and secret societies that men put together. There was something that made mention here that I really... Here, as tarot became more popular in the 19th century, its reputation also began to change. Rather than being seen as a mysterious upper-class game, it became known as a pastime that women could partake in together. At a time when jobs for women were scarce, card reading was a safe method of earning a living, and women could learn the rules from other women. The rise of printing technologies allowed for people to reproduce the cards with slightly more ease, rather than hoping for an expensive hand-painted deck being passed down through the family or a secret society. As soon as women reclaimed tarot, high society men began to dismiss it as a silly diversion for ladies. So as soon as women started being interested in tarot, men were like, let them have it. Which I'm like, wow. Yeah. Even secret societies themselves, a lot of secret societies were men only. Women were not allowed to join in. Women were not allowed to join in on a lot of the secret societies. But for the Golden Dawn, however, women were allowed to join, which again was uncommon during that time. But even if they were allowed to join, they didn't have the same access as their male counterparts, obviously. But yeah, so for the deck itself, even what's his face? What's his name? Arthur Edward Waite. A.E. Waite. Even A.E. Waite himself didn't pay her enough, Paid her apparently barely, not even minimum wage. Her name wasn't even on the deck itself. And she received no royalties for the production. The only thing is that her signature is on every single piece of art. So if you've ever seen like an original, any of the Rider-Waite-Smith decks, Centennial, the original, the any of those that are recolored, reproduction, they all have this in one of the corners. And that's her signature. So that's the only thing that has ever kept her alive in these particular decks. Nothing else. Because she received no credit, no money other than what he paid her that one time to to create the artwork, and that was it. He literally took credit for her work. In the thing it says, the practice of painting by women remains clumsily cultivated, a bad imitation of nature. And it was like here, I had to spoon feed her my orders. Ugh. Like, you kidding me? The entitlement. Yeah. He also ensured that she would not receive any publishing royalties, which absolutely horrible. And then it goes into like US games, some of the US games decks here. Really awesome. I love the quotes that are throughout the graphic novel. Very interesting. This one in particular is one of my favorites. Alone. Alone in the midst of men, alone mid hills and valleys fair, alone upon a ship at sea, alone and everywhere. Oh, many folk I see and know, so kind they are I scarce can tell, but now alone on land and sea, in spite of all I'm left to dwell. In cities large, in country lane, around the world, it's all the same. Across the sea from shore to shore, alone, forevermore. That's a beautiful poem. Absolutely love that. I think she wrote that in her later years. And yeah, I loved everything about this graphic novel. I thought it was really well done. And I really enjoyed it. Absolutely beautiful. I learned a lot from this. You know, she went through a lot, and it goes to show that a lot of the time she didn't give up. She kept trying. She kept trying to, no matter how many times she was rejected or did these small art jobs and art pieces and try to get her foot in the door and try to make money and become a woman, biracial woman, to, you know, earn money from doing what she loved, her passion and everything. And she kept trying and trying. And until she stopped trying. Towards the end, it seemed like well, not all the way to the end. She still did some stuff, but almost until the end, it seemed like she stopped trying. Though, I guess now, you know, we need to be super fortunate that without her artwork, we wouldn't have the tarot deck that we have, that all of us use. We all use it. We all use the Smith-Waite or the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. We all use that deck. And every single other deck that's come after it has been, majority of the time, based on her work. So, yeah, this was an amazing graphic novel. Highly recommend. Definitely pick it up. I'll have links down below, but I would definitely recommend that if you're into the RWS deck and you want to learn more about Pamela Coleman Smith, I definitely feel like this was a great start to know about her life. Even if it's like not 100% accurate because of the fact that, we don't have all the information because of the time that she lived in, and a lot of it has been lost to time, pretty much. This is still a great read, and I definitely recommend that people pick it up. So again, that was the Queen of Wands, the story of Pamela Coleman Smith, the artist behind the Rider-Waite Tarot deck, and this is by Cat Willett. Again, gave it 5 stars, fantastic, absolutely loved it. So I do thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Is this something you'd pick up? Is this something that interests you? I would definitely love to hear your opinion down below in the comments. I do thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Turn on that bell so you can be notified every time I post a brand new video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it's greatly appreciated and helps me in the long run. Thanks so much, and have a great day.